Hey guys, so in my gallery, you've seen pictures of kind of the evolution of zombie makeup over the years in movies and television, and but I don't have the insight to talk about why these evolutions have happened. So I've brought in a friend of mine, professional makeup artist Michael Mosher, to talk about some of the effects through the years, why we're seeing some of the differences in zombie makeup effects, and also how new kind of effects come about. So Michael has been doing makeup in film and television for a long, long time. He has worked on Titanic. He worked on Cowboys and Aliens. He did Resident Evil 3, which is certainly appropriate to this topic. And most recently, he's been the makeup artist on the originals and the Legacies TV show. So you have tons of experience. Thanks, Mike.
30,
Appreciate
30
you.
years.
My roommate just popped into the frame. I'm gonna just, nope, I can't do that because that's not the camera I'm using. Well,
Oh.
my roommate's gonna be in this video. So, so tell me a little bit about how you got trained to do special effects makeup, and also, what you see as the evolution over the years.
Well, I have only wanted to do special effects makeup or magic for a living since I was 7 years old.
Mm-hmm.
So I did magic for a while and then moved into makeup and special effects. Started doing my first, prosthetic-y stuff when I was still in high school, when the only thing really available then was foam latex, which was first used in movies in The Wizard of Oz. Then zombie movies came along, and really the first big like zombie movie with lots of blood and guts and gore effects, I think was done in the 70s, maybe the early 80s, with Dawn of the Dead, where Tom Savini kind of made his mark on the world. And I think that happened mostly because audiences had never seen it before. So, the old axe in the head and all the explosions, and heads blowing up and stuff, that had never been done on film before. Probably mostly because the stories never really needed it.
What was it about foam latex that allowed different things to? What was so good about it? Useful?
Because it was relatively easy to use. And repeatable, which means that you didn't have to build up anything on people's faces every day like you kind of had to with latex and tissue paper, latex and cotton. So it was easier to do the same makeup over and over and over.
Meaning you could take an appliance off and reuse it?
Meaning you could have the mold for an appliance and just run a new one every day.
Oh, okay.
And have the exact same face on, which was really nice. Also, it gave you an opportunity to take a prosthetic and possibly put it on a dummy, so that you could have an exploding head that looked just like the actor, because it was wearing the same prosthetics.
Oh, interesting. Okay. And so from foam latex, then that allowed you to do more 3D, because we did see an evolution in the gallery of just going from pancake makeup, like black eyes and maybe some red in the lips or something, to this kind of 3D look with open wounds and stuff like that.
Correct.
And so I think then, so you mentioned using dummies. Was the use of animatronic effects a big kind of leap then, once you start doing zombie movies?
Well, yeah, I mean, because with regular everyday makeup, you can't do anything that provides negative space, because you're limited by where your skin is.
Sure.
And so when people started using dummies, it gave you an opportunity to make negative space in something that's never had negative space before. And with animatronics, with cable control and stuff, you could move their mouth and their eyes, and it created an opportunity to do something that you've never seen before.
Okay, so you can actually take away the skin inside underneath
Right.
the effects, but still have it be moving like a person. That's
Right.
pretty cool. And then what was the next big leap then after foam latex?
The next huge leap was really computer graphics.
Okay.
Because it allowed you to take it allowed you to do negative space on a person. So you could paint that little section of their face green, and then after the fact, they would put, you know, a deeper wound in it or something, or a piece of a missing head in a lot of cases, and you still have a live person with a piece of their head missing, and that was awesome.
I went into a little bit about that with my gallery. With for me, the start of noticing that was like the Mummy, with the Brendan Fraser Mummy, where they were creating, you could see like a bug crawling out of a head or stuff like that. But then now it's being used a lot in television with,
yes,
you know, The Walking Dead, and you see
it's
behind
getting
the scenes
cheaper
pictures.
getting cheaper and cheaper to do all the time. And you know, if you own After Effects, which is not really a consumer grade program, but a lot of consumer grade people use it, you know, they can do that on their home movies now.
Interesting. Do you have a favorite? Do you have a favorite classic effect, or something that you love to do when you're doing?
You know, my
VFX?
favorite classic effect is really easy. I mean, it's really old, and it really didn't look great in the movie, which is kind of sad because of the nature of what it was. But in the original Dawn of the Dead, Tom Savini took the top of an actor's head off with zombie makeup with a helicopter, and they just built up this great big giant.
Oh, I lost you. I don't know if you can see me, but you're frozen. Well, we may have lost Michael, but that was a pretty cool recap of from a behind the scenes point of view of someone who actually does the makeup and puts it all together. So hope you guys enjoyed that. If you want to know more, you can probably find Michael online. I think michaelmosher.com. He still does magic and sells magic stuff, and you can find out more there. Thanks. All right, so we're back. Michael's phone overheated, and so he had to put us in the freezer for a second, and now we're back. So you were saying what your favorite effect was, and you ended with they built up the head, and
and then they animated by hand some helicopter blades, and they pulled off the top of his head with fishing line. And it looked great. And I mean, the effect was kind of cheesy, but you know, that was the first big zombie effect that I actually remember seeing, you know, when I was a kid, and thinking that was really cool.
Wow, the first thing that kind of just made you go, holy shit.
I want to do that.
I wonder if I could even remember what that was for me. Some of those early days. I mean, I feel like there must have been early wows, especially in the 80s. There was a lot of great zombie makeup and like chopping off of arms, and I think the use of like people who have had amputees,
right,
and like building a fake arm and ripping an arm off or something of an amputee who already was missing their arm was you know, stuff like that was pretty cool. Very
which is
inventive.
odd because all of that really super graphic gore that was the staple of horror movies in the 1980s, you can't even show on camera now. Not really. I mean, they've raised the bar a little bit with The Walking Dead, which I think they can get away with because all those people are supposed to be dead.
Yeah.
But there's so much stuff that you can't show in movies and TV now.
Interesting. Why is that, do you think?
You know, that's an excellent question that I am not sure that I can answer.
Because I mean, movies like Saw came along and they were very graphic.
No, Saw was not that graphic.
It all kind of it was all insinuated.
And a lot of it is insinuated. A lot of it is is, you see something whooshed by the camera and you see a spray of blood on the wall, but you don't actually ever get to see what happens. And then sometimes you see an aftermath. But and I honestly, on the show that I'm on now, I blame a lot of that on the Alexa, because just because you can shoot in complete darkness does not necessarily mean you should.
Oh,
so
the camera.
A lot of the stuff, because you can shoot in near black, a lot of the stuff is done in near black. I just had that happen on the set yesterday, where so much of what I did and worked so hard for is shot in near blackness, and I don't know if any of it's really going to show up.
Oh, okay. So you're saying the camera just doesn't actually see it.
Well, the camera sees it, or the DP thinks the camera sees it, but the way that most people watch television now, is in a bright room or on their phone or on their iPad, and it just doesn't get bright enough to show what they used to show in the 80s.
Sure. Well, and also, in color correction, you're always crushing the blacks and making the blacks blacker, which makes everything. Yeah, right. Interesting.
I mean, that undoes all the, Rick Baker won an Academy Award for An American Werewolf in London because they wanted to see that werewolf transformation in full daylight, which they'd done for the very first time ever. And now I'm not even sure that would happen, and if it did, it would not be practical effects, it would be CG, and it literally just would not look as good.
And that's an interesting thing too. In the difference between American Werewolf in London, and then there's a remake of it, and then another instance. The Thing, John Carpenter's The Thing versus this new one where they did all the practical effects, but then they in the movie they used CGI, which was
they graphicked over the top of all of the amazing stuff that Studio ADI did.
Yeah,
and made it look worse.
Right? Yeah, no, I agree. It's a weird thing, this obsession we have with CGI when really good effects do exist.
Fix it in post, except it never looks as good.
Right. Well, if you want to fix something, that's different, but to replace it completely is weird. It's weird.
Yeah.
So, well, Michael, thank you very much for chatting with me. I appreciate it. Always great to talk to you, and I don't want people to have to sit through a long thing. This is finals week, so
I'm glad I could help, and thank you for having me by.
All right, I'll talk to you later, bud. Bye.
Bye.